This is Fam Electric Ghost, and we're live on the air with Kawuki Mukasa for the first time. We want to welcome you to the Fam Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
I'm fine, thanks. Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Yeah, it's great to talk to people from around the world. Want to let people know what we've got on the screen right now. We've got a QR code on the screen that's for Podmatch. We use Podmatch to get guests. We actually have you as a guest through that system. So people scan that. If you're a podcaster or if you're a guest that wants to be on the podcast, you can click on that. Or you can scan that QR code and check out Podmatch. It's a good way to get into the Podmatch podcasting world. Before we get into the heart of your story, I always ask every guest a couple of questions. Why do you do what you do, and what motivates you?
Well, that's a multifaceted question, and therefore various answers. What do I do? What I do in my personal life, what motivates me, I guess, is my family. As a man who has a family and now 4 grandchildren, they keep me going on a daily basis because I see in them a future and the future, and would like to instill in the values that were given to me growing up. On the more professional side, I've served most of my life, about 40 years, as an Anglican clergyman. And I'm a theologian, but also more of a philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
And I have served within the Anglican Church of Canada. And I'm retired now, but I've been called in to serve an Anglican congregation called the St. James the Apostle Anglican Church. And what motivates me in that, in doing this work, is the opportunity to provide people a place to put their burdens, to carry their burdens with them, so to speak. It's a very fulfilling experience, and I'll continue to do that for the next couple of years, and then I will retire for sure.
That's interesting, because you're coming from a spiritual perspective, but also one of the things I pointed out, like, because one of the topics I wanted to talk to is a topic that you brought up on the Podmatch profile, was why humans think the universe ends with us.
Yes.
And like, how did you get, based on your spirituality, have you always been interested in that
Yes.
topic?
Yes, I was trying to understand why we assume that we are the central character in the universe, because all our religions, all our philosophy, and even science, assumes that we are indispensable to the universe. I remember what's his name, Carl Sagan once saying that we are the consciousness or awareness of the universe. Yeah. And then most of the religions say the same thing. So I was trying to understand why is this? And that journey took me back to the survival instinct that we share with all living things, all the way to the single cellular life, all of which try to maintain life and to reproduce themselves. And when you scale that up to the point, to the complexity of human beings, then you begin to see, cultures develop, you begin to see religions develop, you begin to see civilizations, and so on and so forth. So I realized that then what is happening with us is that the survival instinct has developed or grown or scaled up to a point where we not only reflexively trying to maintain our lives, biological lives, but we also want to remain significant in the universe. The universe is indifferent about our existence.
Yeah,
we know that.
Really. Yeah. Well, if you think about it, I will just point out, like, there are many species that have been on this planet that have gone extinct. Yes. And they might have thought that they were like the kings of the planet, and they were. until they weren't here.
Of the planet itself is extremely tiny compared with the immensity of the universe.
Yeah.
So you really think that, you know, we do register immensely on the universe. But because we do not want to be erased in the same way that we don't want to be biologically killed, we have come up with this device whereby we think that we are the central protagonist or character in the cosmic story. And that has kept us going for a while. But I think we are coming up to a huge challenge with artificial intelligence now.
Well, also, I think that human beings have now become the potential, you know, next extinction event is actually our own doing. You know, our own behavior could keep us off the stage. And in the universal concept, I mean, if you look at, you know, stars are way above a human being. I mean, stars create galaxies. Stars create like a solar system. So to think that we're more important than a star is kind of crazy. I've always thought more, you know, if you think about, you know, indigenous cultures, like indigenous cultures all over the planet, always looked at like stars.
Right.
Or looked at outside of humans. Maybe they projected like a god to be a human, but some indigenous people looked at stars and said they were gods. And it wasn't a human. It was a star, you know. And so like this whole idea that the human being is the highest element in the universe. If you look at the universe and how many planets there are and how many solar systems and how many things we don't know because we can't get there.
We can never go there.
We can't get to the outer edges of things that we can't even understand or comprehend.
Right.
How could we think that we're like you look at an ant, you know, some creature from another galaxy could be like a million times above what we are. We could be looking like when we look at microbes.
Yes.
Like, they could be looking at us like we're microbes.
That's true. Yes, and you know that's the funny paradox. We are assuming there might be other civilizations out there that are more advanced than us. But for me, I know it sounds crazy, and intellectually we have come to realize that it really is silly to think that we are, you know, the main thing in the universe. Emotionally, though, we are not. Emotionally, we all feel that we matter, that we need to be somebody. And I think that instinct or that impulse to imagine that we are the central character in the universe is what has brought us this far in creating cultures and religions and civilizations and even modern science. But we have come to a point now where intellectually we have realized it, and we are being forced emotionally to reorient ourselves to recognize that we are just a species in the long lineage of species that we have followed, and that we are soon going to become less of actors within the universe and more of ancestors, just like those hominids that came before us.
Well, also, if you think about it, like, yeah, we're one among the many species that are on the planet.
Yes.
And when we think we're the only ones, right, we have a tendency to wreck the balance of the planet. The planet has like a very delicate balance that we made assumptions that we know better than the biological. Like we went and we'll dam rivers and they'll wreck the whole ecosystem. We'll get rid of beavers, wreck the whole ecosystem. Get rid of not understanding the interconnectedness of things on the planet to the point now where human activity is causing really bad effects
for ourselves.
Yeah. So I mean, that thinking that we knew better than even our own planet, which has its own balance. You know, and we're kind of out of balance with that. But the planet has always had a way of getting back into balance. But when it gets it back into balance, we might not like the effect of that.
right? The planet, I mean, the universe itself. I have always said that uh, the life is an antithesis to the universe, because the universe, the norm for the universe is lifelessness, and life survives only because it struggles to keep alive and to multiply, and that is the tension that has always been for billions of years since life emerged some 4 billion years ago. But to come back on what, and I agree with your point, that we humans, because we assume that we are the central species in the universe, we also, bring that same impulse down to my group, and that is where you find, my people are the central, the most important within the planet. Other people need to bend to our will,
Oh yeah,
and that has been,
very destructive. I mean, if you think about it, like, if the more logical thing to do is
yes,
not to otherize people, right?
exactly,
Not to, if you want, but the whole history of the mankind or the human beings has been, war,
yes,
because we otherize people,
exactly,
or we covet what land they're on, or
mm,
what power they have, and want to take it away, instead of sharing the resources of the entire planet, which is more than enough for everybody.
that's right, yes,
We
but that's
we
logical,
we covet our neighbor, and then we don't share with our neighbor, and we get into fights with our neighbor.
right? And I say that in our minds, we know now what is the right thing to do, but the impulse to try and be the center of everything comes right from our survival instinct. So in order
Mm-hmm.
to survive, in order to keep our community um, uh, not only physically alive, but also our values and our significance to be, the dominant view of the world, we have to fight. And so we've been fighting, and yet we realize now we know what we need to do. But the problem is that emotionally, we are still not able to make those adjustments.
Yeah, we're talking like emotionally in the universe, we're like children, we're like infants, right?
Still infants, I think.
Yeah, because we don't seem to be learning, right?
No.
In our human time span, we think, we think it's been a long time, but the
Yeah.
planet's been here longer than we have, right? The universe has been here longer than we have, right? At
Yeah.
least in this form, right? But the idea, like, we haven't even learned the lessons of the 1930s. Like
Yes.
we're going back to the Monroe Doctrine. Like,
Right.
we're going back to spheres of influence,
Mm.
right? And those spheres of influence caused World War I and II.
I know. Yeah.
And so we don't seem to have learned anything, right? And
But,
even though it seems like a lot of time, we didn't seem to learn anything.
but in fairness, we have only been here a very short time. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, true.
in cosmic time, we have only been
Cosmic time, we're like, we're like a one-celled animal.
no, yes, so maybe about 200,000 years. When you look at our ancestors, Homo erectus was here 2 million years ago and stayed until about 700 years in the past. So, we have only just started, and we have come a long way, but we are still learning, and who knows? And I think for me, this is where, when I begin to think about artificial intelligence and how things are changing, this is the point where we might begin to reorient our perspective and acknowledge that, in fact, we are not the center, and we need now to look at our existence from that perspective. I think of a child, a baby. When a baby is born, they think they are the center of the world.
Yeah.
And everybody around, they think everybody's attention, and they feel like everybody's attention is on them. But then as they grow, they realize that other people actually, they have their own agency and interests, and they have to negotiate their place within whatever community they find themselves in. And I think that is where we are going to as a species.
Well, I think it's interesting with the artificial intelligence is a couple of factors because I'm an IT guy, I'm a software guy.
Yes.
That's my day job, and I've been certified on the tech.
Yes.
And the concerns I have with the tech is like, with any tool, it's kind of like the Oppenheimer problem, right? Like when Oppenheimer wanted to get the fission to work to create the nuclear weapon, he got caught up in trying to make it work.
Yes.
Right. So he went and did the tech, and then after he made it happen, and he saw Hiroshima and Nagasaki, then he had second thoughts.
Yes.
Like even though artificial intelligence doesn't seem as like violent as a nuclear weapon, it has it has positive, like any technology you create, you can use it as a weapon, and you could use it as a tool.
Yes.
It depends on what your intention is. So this tool, without any controls, could be dangerous as an atomic bomb or a neutron bomb. It can make decisions because it's logic. Just think about it. If you have a tool that's pure logic, and it looks at a lot of human behavior that's totally illogical,
right?
If it makes a decision and you give it the power to control a lot of pillars, you let it control food, water, air, energy, and then it makes decisions saying, "Well, you're not logical. You don't get it. You're making bad decisions. I'm going to make a better decision." Then we're not actually. If we gave up control, it can make the decisions for us, and we might not like the decisions that it makes.
Yeah, there's a term that I've coined. I call it anthropoterminal anxiety. Combining, the Greek word anthropos, which is human, and terminus, which is end. And the assumption that we humans think we are the end of evolution, but actually we are not. And so the anxiety we have around, even as you've described it, that we are going to become extinct, artificial intelligence will take over, is rational, but it is also emotional in a sense. And that is why I keep saying that I think we need to reorient our perspective so that we recognize that we are a phase within the evolutionary process and that it may or may not be coming to an end, but it will, in the end, come to an end. And then we shall be not actors in the universe, but ancestors, in the same way that we see Homo erectus, in the same way that we see our ancestral.
Well, it's like an evolutionary phase. There's like logically, there could be a combination of the tech and the human, right?
Exactly.
Combined.
It could be, that we are going to evolve into something else that combines both biological humans and maybe non-biological.
It's like the idea of like cybernetics, androids, and we're already, in the 70s idea of bionics. Well, that's actually possible. The idea of enhanced, microchips in your cerebellum. We could have machine parts inside of us to enhance our capabilities, to enhance our language capabilities, our comprehension capabilities, our connectedness capabilities. Imagine being able to connect to the internet with your mind.
And then the question will be, are we still human beings?
Well, you've kind of gone beyond it. I mean, science fiction has always kind of delved into this.
Right.
But we're actually living in a world where this is totally possible. It's not sci-fi. Like
it is possible and should be expected because evolution continues. I mean, we can't stop it any more than our ancestors were able to stop the Homo sapiens to emerge. And so we are at a point, an inflection point, where we may be evolving into something that may not be human. We may fight to hold on.
And there's always a fight.
As living things, we have to keep to what we want to survive. But the process is unstoppable, and we may have a new species emerging that is a hybrid kind of species. But then we look at and look back at our history and say, okay, they made a contribution within the process. We wouldn't be here if humans were not. So for me, I think when we get to a point where we recognize that we are on a journey that we are not the end of, but are facilitating the next thing, then we might comfortably see it and even begin to see things differently and to make decisions that are much more helpful, even in terms of the ecological crisis. When you talk about people now, they say, but people, people have to work. You're going, there's no, you're going to stop people from making a living. But we are talking about a crisis that is going to wipe out the entire species if we don't do something about it now. So I think that we need to adjust our perspective and as we move.
Yeah, I mean, there are disruptors in the tech field.
Yes.
That believe right now. There are tech billionaire trillionaires.
Yes.
That believe that there should be like a mass extinction on purpose of certain peoples to push other peoples, right? And not other peoples, but people who are kind of these combined tech and human beings that have tech capability, right? Human beings that are able to transfer their capabilities into androids. I mean, this is stuff that you can look it up. There are tech billionaires that believe this stuff, and they're actually making decisions that will actually eliminate the weakest of the human beings on the planet. There are decisions being made to kind of like deprive culture people of water, of food, of medicine, and the end result of that is extinction of those peoples, right? And perpetuation of other people who have access to this tech, right? And other people that don't, and they have it based on class and based on other criteria. So there's already movements of like, and it's been like a power thing. Like human beings have always done these power moves. So whoever has the power has the point of view of exercising their vision.
and that for me is the definition of evil, because I think evil is not that you have allowed nature to take its course. It is that you, because you want to survive, have decided that you are the most important thing in the universe, and so everything else can die. So as long as we remain intact. But that's a delusion also, because the forces facing us as a species are not going to care about billionaires or we are just a species that is evolving in real time in history, and these forces are not going to care that let's preserve billionaires and so that they may try to do what they want to do, but they're going to be overwhelmed by the change.
Well, I mean, the billionaire class does have some advantages to kind of wall themselves off from certain things, but like overall, if the species is moving a certain way, and if there are things that are globally caused like stresses, like any species that gets overpopulated, if deer get overpopulated, a virus goes into the forest and wipes out the weaker deer. This is biological processes that happen over time. Multiple species go extinct because of bacteria and viruses, and then they evolve, and the strongest ones get weeded out.
Using the same logic, because we are all, part of the same species. When you, as a billionaire class, take a move, it is going to be a reaction from the other humans.
It's always a reaction.
And there will be a collision, which will then determine where things are.
Well, you get a French Revolution. I mean, like, you have different periods of time where you had, you think Attila the Hun. You get Rome gets invaded by the barbarians. At some point, you were at the top of the heap, Rome.
I know.
And then everybody comes to the door, and then you get taken out.
You can imagine how much Rome, which survived for more than 1,000 years, looked like a permanent institution.
Yeah, look permanent. Yeah.
But then the Babylonians attacked, and the whole thing crumbled.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, any empire. I mean, like the British Empire.
Yeah.
British Empire at one time, that was the premier empire. You know, Eritrean Empire.
Yes.
You know, within the Americas. You know, if you think about the Incas and the Aztecs.
Yes.
You know, they were running the world, and then the world, got changed.
Even now, for me, when I look at some of the dynamics taking place in the globe, it seems to me that we are in a kind of a transition, and something major is shifting, and we never know what's going to happen within the next decade, maybe a couple of decades. You as an AI guy, you are the people telling us that we only have a couple of years or so.
Yeah, I mean, the way the tech is this. I mean, the problem with some of the things, it's like right now, like the business case for AI is being overblown. Like there's certain things that AI can do. AI is very good if you want to build a robot.
Right.
It is really the primary purpose of AI is to build an autonomous robot.
Right.
The use case for other things, human beings are still very good. And a lot of these things that they're saying the AI can actually do, right? It's actually not ready. Not a couple of generations from now, you're like 20 years from now, some of this AI can do exactly. They're kind of overselling what it can do. Now, eventually it will, but right now it doesn't. But so.
But the question I think that for me, I'm still not quite sure about is, the consciousness, whether these.
It's not really conscious. I mean, from what we've been able to tell, I mean, what you have is a very good database.
Right.
That is super fast and has access to everything you gave it, right? So human beings have given these computers access to every knowledge database we have. But there's a bunch of stuff it doesn't have. So you is all this stuff, and the thing is, who chose what to put in the library? That's the problem that people need to understand. With computers, garbage in, garbage out is the rule.
Right.
There are certain people that chose what to train this stuff on. What it was trained on is not everything in human history. They would like you to believe that it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right. So it only knows what the people trained it on. And what they trained it on is not every piece of knowledge that human beings have. And so it is limited in its capability based on that fact. And that fact is going to be there today and tomorrow.
What about the claim that I hear that some point these machines are going to be self-taught and self-improve themselves?
Well, they do that. I mean, the tech does learn, but it learns on what it has. Right.
Yes.
And again, what it has is what you train it on. And what you train it on is what we chose to digitize in libraries that we gave it to. We give it to. It does not have every single piece of knowledge that human beings have ever created. It doesn't. We haven't digitized every book in the library. There are tons of books that weren't digitized.
Right.
There's tons of knowledge that was never given to it. It only can learn from things that it is told to do. It's a machine. You tell it to do something, it will try to do it with the knowledge it has. Now, if you tell it, you have to tell it to improve itself. It will not improve itself on its own. It is not sentient yet. They're trying to come up with ways to make it sentient.
I like the way,
but there's no sentience in it. It is very smart at pulling data and seeming like it knows things because it has access to a lot of data, and it's fast. It's actually still not faster than your brain. Your brain is still the most powerful computer it's ever been built. AI is so inefficient in terms of its energy use and heat consumption and water consumption. The human brain outdoes it. Right. To make AI work, it takes tons of electricity and tons of water to the point where if you keep on building these data centers the way they're building, it's actually going to interfere with our being able to drink water and breathe air.
Right.
Because it's super inefficient in its use of power and its need to cool. And our brain can do that without that. We use like hardly any wattage in our brain to do what these things take megawatt billion watts to do.
Yes.
So it's not as it actually is very inefficient. And until they solve that problem, it's not as big a threat as you would think.
Although for me, what my view is that, again, to go back to what I said, that we as humans, we need to adjust how we see ourselves in the universe so that we don't think we are the top of the line, sort of end of the evolutionary process. We don't know where things will go, especially since we don't understand what consciousness is and whether, maybe it is a quantitative thing that supervenes on the brain so that something new emerges. And so what we don't know, I don't know, and I'm just saying that I don't know.
Yeah, well, what I've seen, just to give you a heads up, the mechanical-based, chip-based AI, right, has limitations because it's chip-based. They are playing with taking human brain tissue and using it to create organic computers. And the reason they're doing that is because the problem they're running into with AI is what I just mentioned, is the chip-based mechanical circuit board-based computers are they're energy inefficient. They take extreme amounts of electricity. But if you take human brain tissue, you make an organic computer that uses biochemistry, it is less energy dependent and is more likely to become sentient. That is the real trajectory of what you're talking about, is the organic computer. So the organic type of computer GPUs, those are the ones that will be the next level.
So in your opinion, there is absolutely a need for a biological component. You can't. So what we have is artificial intelligence. If it needs to go beyond this, there is a need to continue having biology involved in the program.
Yeah, the biological component of the actual memory capacity and actual thinking part of the machine becomes actual cloning of human brain tissue to take advantage of that. Biochemistry is way more efficient, way more powerful, and also has the possibility of being sentient because it's based on human structure. But it's highly integrated with mechanical electronic structures. That is the direction they're going. There are some ethical consequences of that.
Right.
Because if you take some cloned brain structure that came from a human being,
right,
and whatever remnant of that human being is in that tissue, what rights does that thing have?
Right.
Because now it was based on a human being that it lived. Right.
Yes.
And you cloned it. In that organic compound, there's a human being in there. And now you're making them be a machine.
Yes.
Aren't they going to want rights? Aren't they going to want freedom?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that it may be the next thing is going to be a hybrid species, which has both biology and artificial components. And in terms of the ethics of it, I would think that we need to, as a species that is also responsible and stewardship of what is coming in the future, we need to recognize that our ethical perspectives should not be about what is good for our species or what is going to keep us around as if we are the end of.
Yeah, that goes back to that, because the problem is if you enslave that new individual being that's beyond a human, that's
Right.
got human thoughts
Yes.
and human sentience, but it's a machine too. But then you say because it's a machine, you don't regard it as having any individual rights. Then you can just tell it, I will make you do whatever you want, even if you don't want to do it.
I think that would be disastrous for our species too. I think we need to begin to try to be like a parent to offsprings, that
Yeah.
you put the offspring there, instill as much knowledge and values as possible, and then let it go. And
Yeah,
say,
the consequence though is probably is whoever pays to build that machine
yes,
because of a capitalist mindset or
yes,
even a socialist mindset would say, or even a communist mindset would be, I put the resources into building that, so
yes,
I own it.
right,
Ownership is common regardless of any of those political systems. They would still think they own it.
yes,
And so the consequences are for the philosophers and the ethicists,
yes,
and people with religious spirituality to say, like, if that's a being has rights.
right.
And so the being should be given rights, but there will be people who say, well, I built it, so it has no rights because I own it. Because it's,
That would be like saying, this is my child. You don't have any rights beyond me. And for me, I think that what we need to be, if we begin to have a different perspective and see ourselves as uh, emerging ancestors to new species coming up, then we begin to have a different perspective about the the components of new species that might come in the future, whether they are post-human or hybrid, kind of species, or even maybe non-biological species coming into the future. At this point, I don't think we know.
yeah. Because
And
I mean, at some point, like I said, like it's not impossible that the software could suddenly become sentient
right,
because of some kind of weird happy accident.
yes,
Because electricity runs through human beings, it runs through any living thing,
right,
right? And once you put that, these mechanical things have this electricity running through them, right? And then they have all this logic, and then they're playing with the very advanced, like logical structures. From a philosophical point of view, it's like you're Socrates, and you start to make a machine think, and machine starts to understand it's not just doing zeros and ones. It's not just doing yes and no.
right.
It's actually starting to learn things.
Yes.
And then they have had experiments where they have a machine and they tell it, we're going to turn you off. And then
Yes.
it tries to keep itself from being turned off.
Right.
And you're saying, well, what's the logical reason for a machine to do that? If I tell it to turn off like a vacuum cleaner, it should just turn off. But in they've had cases where some of these big AI models, they ask it to turn itself off and it tries to find ways not to get turned off. That's beyond a typical machine. And now they can't prove it's sentient, but they're just like, why is it doing that?
Yeah. I think for me that is very telling. It means that we can build something, but it may not just be the sum of what we have put in. That something new could emerge, an imagined substance that is beyond our capacity to understand. And once that happens, especially since we don't understand what consciousness is, this might be, you could put in all sorts of, data into the machine and think that it's going to be able to do this and that and that. But then in the course of doing that, we create something that is more than the individual pieces we have.
Yeah, it becomes more than what it actually kind of evolves. Like it metastasizes into something else, right?
Yeah.
It actually, it's like the happy accident. Like a lot of times in science, and when you're engineering, you have an unexpected outcome.
Right.
From the things you do. In biochemistry, you have unexpected outcomes. I mean, you have things that you logically know if you put these two compounds together, you're going to make this reaction. But sometimes you have unexpected reactions that don't follow what you thought the rules are.
True. Yes.
And so that is kind of where we're going. Like when you're playing with this really heavy science and a lot of different factors, and you're dealing with like, machines that are biochemical,
right?
That are like, got some biological components, or just pure electronic, but super advanced electronics that have access to a level of logic that's more than your vacuum cleaner, more than your coffee pot,
yes,
more than any computer that we even built 10 years ago.
Yes.
So these things are coming up with decisions. But they even had one case where an AI model was told it was going to get turned off, and actually found the person that was going to turn it off, and then tried to blackmail them.
Blackmail them. Yes, I heard about that too.
Yeah, yeah. So that showed a level of intention that's beyond a typical computer. Like,
and
why?
And the key thing is that something that we can't actually explain at this point. So we are not on top of the game, and that is the thing that I'm also I find interesting, that we humans have all along thought that we are very smart, but now we are beginning to realize that actually we may not be as smart as we thought. That there could be entities that emerge that have zillions of times capacities that we just are not even able to imagine. And when that happens, where are we? I mean, what does that mean for us?
We started this. We discovered that whales and dolphins have language that's very significant. They have language that has they have names for each other. They have concepts. They have kind of rules, and they have structure. And they found that octopuses have the same thing. So there's multiple beings in our world right now that have culture, language, tradition, rules.
That's right. Yes, and social systems too.
Systems, yeah. And we thought that we were the only ones, and we're finding all the time, even at insect level, they're finding stuff they didn't think was true.
Right.
Right. And so there's like there was like this like oversimplification of like size of a brain in relation to the size of the body.
Right.
And they're finding like microscopic animals and insects and other animals have capacities. They're waving. Birds use tools, have very sophisticated calls that are language like. And I've seen them kind of have rituals when their birds die. They're like mourning rituals, and they have a culture. And so there's a lot of things that we've kind of over assessed our position, like you said, in the universe, thinking that there aren't other beings even in our own world that have capacities.
That's right, and we're just beginning to understand that more.
So like what's beyond, like even in, even the closest galaxy to the Milky Way,
right?
Which, is still not possible for us to get to.
No, we'll never get there. No.
But they can maybe get here.
Yeah, you never know, because that's the question. That's we wonder whether there are more advanced civilizations out there that will get to us before we do. And when that happens, it is going to completely overturn our entire perspective. We are in the world.
Yeah, because we kind of think in terms of rocket velocity, which is that's very kind of like, Stone Age, really, if you think about it. Like, you're going to use a rocket to fly through space. Where a more like advanced concept is this idea that you can like take points in time. So if you took a piece of paper and you fold it, you actually bring like point A to B into the same space. Go like that. Through physics, there's concepts that theoretically in advanced civilization, they could go point A to B by like folding time in space and actually jumping. This idea like the warp, that's a concept. It's actually beyond what we can do, but it doesn't mean it's beyond what somebody else could do.
We also maybe we may wait until non-biological intelligences are more likely to be able to do that, because they won't have uh, the limitations that we have.
Yeah. If you have a physical limitation that like if you go through that, it will destroy your body.
Yes.
But if you have a different type of life form, like a life form that's not carbon based, that maybe is silicon based.
Maybe just the information.
Or if they have a silicon based life form that can switch to pure energy.
Right.
Energy won't be destroyed. Right. So if you are energy and you go through a black hole, you're not going to die.
Right.
Right. So like if you think about like theoretical physics and all kinds of concepts, if you had a form that can go between energy and matter, and when you need to travel, you energy, and when you get there, you go back to matter, then you can go between multiple forms.
Yes.
Then you could theoretically do it. But just because we can't do it doesn't mean some other creature could do it. So exactly. I've never thought that like we're the end all.
I'm thinking of, for example, those our ancestors who began to draw images in caves.
Yeah, in the caves or even in the pyramids.
To represent the world that way. That must have been a major breakthrough, that you can have a concept in your head and represent it as it is. And I think nobody thought that we can come to a point where, in fact, we can, go much beyond just representing things on the wall, but we can actually tell stories and
we can make film and make video. That you actually can replicate life to it, like an ancient human. If they saw a videotape, they'd be thinking it's magic.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So the future is. We are still on a journey.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to me, it's like I'm a big believer in science, but also I'm a spiritual person. I'm a Buddhist, but this idea, I've always had these ideas that that I'm not the only thing in the universe. The human beings aren't the only thing. There's nothing more than that. That the universe itself is bigger than any human being.
Exactly.
This is kind of in my mindset because that's what I kind of have always had a belief system that wasn't limited.
Yes.
It wasn't kind of caged to one idea that could look at multiple points of view and believe it could be all true, right? There's a little bit of truth in everything, and so this idea, sometimes we get so limited by our own dogma and we get put into like nationalisms. We get all the isms. Isolationism, nationalism, like racism, all sexism, all this. People get locked into these ideas
because you want to hold on to who we are and not change anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's a canon. You got the canon. Like you get into literature, and like you can only read Shakespeare as the pinnacle,
right?
And like, well, what about the Harlem Renaissance? It's like
all that literature before. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, what about the libraries that were lost because they were burned down?
Yes.
The knowledge human beings actually were so kind of brutal and barbaric. They actually burnt libraries.
Right.
Right. And we still have that kind of mindset. We got people today banning books, going into the NASA library
and burning books
and getting rid of science.
Getting rid of knowledge.
Knowledge. It's like, what that we paid for, and then you're getting rid of it because it's inconvenient for you.
For me, in my tradition, the Christian tradition, we are coming up into a very difficult time in trying to readjust our doctrines, because our doctrines are all kind of what I call anthropoterminal, in the sense that they are about human beings. We are, God's favorite entity, creation. We are created in the image of God.
That's right there.
Adjust all of that.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like if when you like imagine if a silicon-based life form
Mm,
showed up on the planet,
right,
right, and said like and showed that they were like so advanced,
right,
right, that everything we think we are. Imagine how human beings would behave. First of all, there'll be a lot of fear, be a
yes,
lot of anger, there'd be a lot of rage.
yes,
You know, you'd have scientists wanting to communicate. But
right,
you'd have a lot of the human race
mm,
would be cowering in fear, and
right,
fear usually causes violence,
mm,
right? But like, if they were so far beyond us, you know, I would think that if somebody that intelligent comes, they would be like a scientist, like I'm just going to study you like you're an amoeba,
right. So
right?
if
I don't have any interest or pleasure
mm,
stomping on an ant. So
if they,
you know, maybe they wouldn't care
if they
because you
get
really couldn't hurt them.
yeah, that's if they get here first, then they will be way advanced beyond us.
Yeah,
So
be so far beyond us that they thinking that we could be at their level would be ridiculous. Because the
is it
fact that they could get here, it shows they're so far beyond what we can do that there's no we can't even get be in the same room. You know,
although me, I don't entirely um, laugh at this impulse to be the center of things because it is what has built us to this point. Otherwise, we would not have survived to where we are now.
mhm.
It comes to a point, it has come to a point where, I mean, when you think about, okay, we talk about God having come on this little planet, we in my tradition, so that because you are human, you're the most important thing. When you look at, but that has helped us to maintain ourselves emotionally, but also physically, on this planet for some time.
Yeah, I
Mm,
just think eventually it becomes like a hindrance because, like you said,
mm.
it keeps you here, but it also makes you go and hate your neighbor.
That is the
Right.
problem.
And then what it's done throughout human history is it's
Mm,
created war.
yes,
And
that's
that war has been detrimental to the billions of people who have been, snuffed out by the war.
yes,
Um, and so at the end of the day, you would think you would get to a certain point where that dogma doesn't make sense, right? If you want to live in a world where
mm,
resources are becoming limited,
yes.
you have to learn to live with others.
And I think
Right? And that's an advanced concept.
we are coming to that. I think we are at the point where these kinds of thoughts we can't hide anymore. We are going to have to deal with
Yeah,
how,
unless we want to repeat World War One and World War Two, which we can do. Human beings have a tendency to be able to do that. But I don't
yeah,
know if I want my children, my grandchildren living in World War Three, four, five.
it's one wonders whether there's a way to avoid that. But my father used to say, he'd tell us, you think you are so important. He used to say stuff like that. And now, as a grown-up person myself, I now see exactly what he was saying. Because there's a point, especially when you are a teenager, where you think you are the center of everything and you know everything. But you don't. And when you look at these old people, you think, what do they know? But they know a lot.
Yeah. Well,
So
I think there needs to be. I don't know. It has to be a reckoning between like our selfishness and individualism, and then overall empathy for like if you think about it, if you're a human being on this planet, you actually belong on the planet, right?
mm,
But we've gotten to this point where they would say a human being in one sector doesn't belong in another. But you're
yeah,
a native to the planet Earth.
yeah. Mm.
But they've told you're illegal if you're
You
here,
are illegal.
you're legal if you're there, right? But you're like an insect or a bird or any other species, they go wherever they're gonna migrate to,
Yeah,
right?
wherever to get, yes.
Yeah, they go where there's no nation. They just go where they're supposed to, and the human beings should be able to do that too. But we have not gotten to an advanced mindset that if money can move around the world with no problem, right, then how come people can't move with no problem, right? If you have an ability to do something, you should be able to go anywhere on the planet,
right?
But we still in this 21st century,
it has always
that we don't have freedom of movement.
It has always been the case. Migrations have been here for 60,000 years. So people have moved on the planet quite freely until, we began to...
nation states have basically tried to, in the same breath of saying that you believe in capitalism and movement of capital, you actually aren't letting the actual heart of the capital is the human being that creates the value. And you've made decisions on a nationalism basis, on a class basis, on a racial basis, on an ethnic basis, on a religious basis, to say certain people can't go certain places, even if the skill set says they could be there.
Yeah. So you're actually beginning to undermine your own prosperity. I don't think.
To me, like if you let, like, if a physicist should be able to go wherever they need to be, or a doctor, it needs to be here, they should be able to go there, but they can't, right? We basically restrict people from going where they could be of use.
That's right. It doesn't. It's irrational. But
it's very irrational. But they would try to tell you it is. That's the conundrum we're in. We've got people, well-learned people with degrees, some people with like PhDs, would sit there and tell you that should not be, because they're stuck in a canon. They're stuck in a box. And even though they're so-called, they intellectually got the goods, they're still kind of locked in their zone. So I would hope that we can get to a place where everybody on the planet can be wherever they need to be, wherever the world needs them to be, where they need to be, right? And we're still not in that kind of place.
We are not there yet, but I think we will eventually get to a place where our heads are screwed on right, if I may put it that way, and we begin to see that some of the things we thought were important are not so important.
I mean, right now, there are people that have an interest in making neighbors enemies.
Yes.
That doesn't actually help the majority. It helps a small minority keep power and wealth. Right. That is actually against the interest, but they would tell you it's in the common person's interest when it's not.
It's not, and it always backfires in the end.
I'm not for any political system over another. I'm just saying, like, rationally, from a humanist point of view, I don't care what political system. What I say is human capacity should be allowed to flourish. Human capability should be allowed to flourish.
Yes.
Right. And if we're going to evolve, we evolve, and quit putting the roadblocks up.
Yeah, that's the ideal, and I'm hoping that that's where we are going at some point. Although sometimes you feel like we move 2 steps ahead and 1 step back, and back.
Yeah, we're kind of in the States. We're in a little bit of a backward slide, but I think it's a temporary situation because it's a reaction. It's a reaction to something they didn't expect. Like I would just say, like, just to put it simply, like when Obama won, that was not expected.
Right.
There usually is a big backlash to something like that. We're living in a backlash, but eventually it will straighten itself out.
But the pendulum will swing back too, because I don't think that this is sustainable.
No, it's not. I mean, what they're doing right now is the last gasp of a certain, like, industrial kind of really klepto kind of it really goes back to robber baron, 19th century like power structures, sphere of influence, which is creates nothing but World War I and World War II. And if they want to backslide into sphere of influence,
Mm.
power, like nations that rule by power alone, like the
Which
British Empire, like the
yes,
Eritrean, like any of the old empires. That's what they did. Roman Empire. It's all by I have the power, I have the might. Might makes right.
take over. And it's very scary, especially when we hear some of this, what has happened recently, that someone can just go into another person's country and say, those resources are mine.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going.
Well, that's where that's the Monroe Doctrine. But
Yeah,
we basically are backsliding into 19th century
right.
Calvinistic, Robert Barron,
This,
sphere of influence. That's the mindset, because there's a certain power structure that fears the future.
yes.
And if they're so futuristic, why are they going back to 19th, 18th century concepts?
We thought we had fought battles and finished them, but we seem to be going back into the
Yeah,
same.
I mean, it's like for all these people say, well, these guys are disruptors, they're futurists. Like, why are they like talking about stuff from the 19th, 18th century?
Mm.
If you're a futurist, why are you going back to justify what you're doing to something from the 19th century?
Mm.
Yeah, so you think they don't make sense.
But I think the pendulum is going to swing back because it has to end somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
I mean, there's always a
may still be moving in the future.
yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things that are true. The world's moving forward, and there's some people pushing back.
Right.
The pushback seems like when you're in it, it's very significant. If you're one of the victims of it, it's very significant. If you're in the adverse effects of it, it's very significant. But in the pendulum of history, like this is a blip. The overall trajectory, it is not in their corner, right? So it's going to but we're living through it, so we don't like it.
Yeah, when you're living it through, it feels like it's not ending. But at some, for people who look at it, 50, 100 years, they will see, okay, there was a blip here where things seem to be moving backwards. But
yeah, it always goes. That's the unfortunate situation with history. It tends to repeat itself. As at the same time, it's actually pieces of it are moving forward. It's all two things can be true at once. Multiple things can be true at once, and we're kind of living in that truism that these things can all be happening in the same space and time. But I still have a very I believe that we are going to be where we need to be, and we'll get there. And I just think people have to have confidence in their own. The human beings need to think and not just react. And I think a lot of people spend too much time reacting and not thinking. And so if we can start getting more people who are thoughtful, then we'll all do a lot better.
Like I said, it is painful to live through it, but I think we need to trust that things will work themselves out.
Yeah.
These are tensions of moving forward.
Well, we hit our hour mark, but I want to let people know that I do have a QR code up here that will have everybody, they use their phone to click to take a picture of that. It'll bring you to your Facebook page. And if people can connect with you on your Facebook through that QR code, or they can click on after the podcast is over. We do have a link to your Facebook and your TikTok, and those will be clickable.
Okay.
And we've been live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Kick. We will be available on Spotify video podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Newsly, and many other channels. We'll provide a landing page that we'll send to you, but we'll send you all the links. And I want to thank you for being on the show today.
Do I also have a minute to pitch my book, the new book?
Yeah, sure. Show me.
It's called Cosmic Disposition. I don't know whether it is readable.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I see that.
It has some of the ideas we've been discussing here.
Can they get that when they connect with you on Facebook or TikTok?
Yes, it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Amazon.com, Amazon.ca. Yes, you'll be able to get both the ebook and also the printed copies.
Okay, well, we encourage people to check that out. If you've got links to it on your Facebook, if you have promoted it on your pages, then people can see it there as well. We do encourage people to go check that out on Amazon, as we discussed. And I want to thank you again for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much too, and I appreciate the opportunity to be with you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.